In a dramatic turn of events that has gripped Johannesburg and the nation at large, Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, a man whose name has long hovered in the shadows of alleged underworld dealings, has been denied bail by the Alexandra Magistrate Court. The decision, delivered earlier today, reverberated across South Africa's legal and political landscape, marking yet another twist in a saga that blends personal betrayal, alleged corruption, and high-stakes criminal enterprise. The court's ruling was clear. Matlala, who faces charges of conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, fraud, and money laundering, was deemed both a danger to society and a potential threat to state witnesses. The magistrate emphasized that granting him bail would not only undermine public confidence in the justice system, but could also compromise the safety of those prepared to testify against him.
In the bail application brought in terms of Schedule 6 of the Criminal Procedure Act, the onus rests on the applicant to satisfy the court on a balance of probabilities that exceptional circumstances exist which in the interests of justice justify his release. Having evaluated the evidence, the court finds the applicant has failed to demonstrate that he does not pose a flight risk. The applicant has failed to dispel the risk of interference with state witnesses and obstruction of justice. The nature and seriousness of the offences demonstrate a clear danger to the safety of the community. The state's case viewed at this stage cannot be described as weak. In the light of these findings, the court is not persuaded and satisfied that the applicant has established exceptional circumstances which, in the interests of justice, permits his release on bail. The application for bail is accordingly refused.
At the heart of this case lies a chilling allegation that Matlala orchestrated a deadly plot against his former lover, socialite and businesswoman Tebogo Thobejane. Prosecutors argue that a 2023 Sandton shooting, which left Thobejane's life hanging in the balance, was no random act of violence, but rather the calculated execution of a vendetta rooted in betrayal and financial dispute. The attempted hit on Thobejane was not the only revelation to shock the courtroom. Investigators have tied Matlala to a sprawling 360 million South African Police Service tender scandal, one that has already raised serious questions about corruption within the state's procurement systems. Prosecutors allege that proceeds from fraudulent contracts were laundered through Matlala's network, fueling both his lavish lifestyle and the criminal plots that ultimately landed him in the dock.
In terms of the firearms, you will recall that I've always maintained that we've got 3 firearms in police custody that we have seized. It's the 1 AK-47 and the 2 pistols. So in terms of the case of Mr. Sibanyoni, we have linked the attempted murder to that 1 AK-47 that can also be linked to the Amanswar case, the DJ Somebody and his 2 bodyguards case, the Don Dingleni murder, as well as the DJ Vinto's murder. So we now know that that AK-47 was also used in the attempted murder of Mr. Joe Sibanyoni. And then in terms of the DJ Vetti's case, we are positively linking the pistols, one of the pistols that we have seized and that is in custody, that is in police SAP 13, to the attempted murder of DJ Vetti's, one of the 9mm pistols that is in custody. And then in terms of the cases, I'd previously mentioned that we couldn't rule out the possibility of adding more cases to both cases when we are referring now to the Katiso Molefe case as well as the Cat Matlala case. I'd previously indicated that we were linking those 3 firearms with 10. The cases have now risen to 18. These include murder, attempted murder, and other serious crimes. So we are now sitting at 18 cases where we are linking these 3 firearms that are in our possession. You will recall that the Tebogo Thobejane AK-47 has not been found. We are still looking for that particular AK-47, and so in police possession we have the 1 AK-47 and 2 pistols, so 3 firearms that are now positively linked to 18 cases, which include your murder, attempted murder, and other serious crimes. So we cannot also rule out the possibility of adding other cases.
Now remanded at Kgosi, Mampuru, the second correctional center in Pretoria, a facility notorious for housing some of the country's most dangerous offenders, Matlala awaits his next appearance on October 7, 2025. For him, the walls of the high-security prison will be a stark contrast to the glitz and glamour of Sandton, where he once moved among the wealthy and powerful. The courtroom was tense during the bail hearing. Supporters of Thobejane sat in silence, some clutching prayer beads, others staring defiantly at Matlala as he appeared in the dock. On the opposite side, a small but loyal group of his followers shook their heads at the ruling, convinced that he is being framed in a wider political battle tied to the police tender scandal. Outside the courthouse, security was tight, with officers monitoring the gathering crowds that had come to witness the fall of a man once rumored to be untouchable. Legal experts say the case could drag on for months, if not years, given its complexity. The attempted murder charges alone are severe, but when combined with allegations of fraud and money laundering connected to a multi-million rand government contract, the prosecution is building what some are already calling one of the most significant organized crime cases in recent South African history. For Thobejane, who has largely withdrawn from the public spotlight since the 2023 attempt on her life, this case represents not only a quest for justice, but also a personal fight for survival. Sources close to her describe her as fearful, yet determined, relying on tight security and family support as the proceedings unfold. The scandal also raises uncomfortable questions for the South African police service and the broader justice system. How did a 360 million rand tender, allegedly riddled with fraud and kickbacks, slip through the cracks? And how deep does the web of corruption extend? As Matlala sits behind bars, the spotlight now shifts to the October court date. There, prosecutors are expected to call their first batch of key witnesses, many of whom are under state protection. For now, the man known on the streets as Cat has been caged, but whether justice will ultimately prevail remains to be seen. This is not just the story of one man's downfall, it is a reflection of South Africa's ongoing struggle with corruption, violence, and the haunting overlap between power, money, and crime. The denial of bail is just the beginning of a trial that promises to reveal much more than one attempted murder. It may well expose the underbelly of influence and greed that continues to threaten the country's fragile democracy. As the nation awaits the next chapter, one thing is certain. The case of Vusimuzi Cat Matlala will not fade quietly into the background. It has already become a litmus test for accountability in a country where too many cases of this nature have ended in silence, intimidation, or impunity. Please share your thoughts under the comment section and let us know what do you think of this story. And that's it from our side. If you want more content like this, please make sure you subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching.